Hi, welcome to Everbox Guitar Tuition. So my classic album inspection today is the sophomore album by the Scorpions, Flight to a Rainbow. Released 1st of November 1974, this is their debut album with Uli Jon Roth. So effectively what happened was the original Scorpions kind of disbanded after Michael Schenker left on the Lonesome Crow tour to join UFO. Rudy and Klaus briefly joined Dawn Road, which featured Francis Buchholz, Uli Jon Roth and Jürgen Rosenthal, and they decided to take the Scorpions name and become the Scorpions. It probably made commercial sense. Jürgen Rosenthal, this is his only album he did with the Scorpions. Rudy Lenners took over for a couple of albums after this. He actually went on to drum with Eloy. Obviously Francis Buchholz was with him for a long time, and the other lot need no introduction really. What's the album? The album opens with like a song which I think is a really important song in the history of the band, because there's nothing on Lonesome Crow. Really, what's Lonesome Crow, its importance is it's the debut of Michael Schenker, and he ends up joining UFO. I mean, that's the main importance there, and obviously it means the Scorpions get a record out, but it's kind of krautrock, space rock thing. Didn't catch fire. Now Track Like Speed is coming, you can see the DNA, the genesis of the kind of writing they would do on every album after this, and that would become their staple. They're kind of catchy. This is 3 minutes 36, hard rocker. Rudy and Klaus write this track, and that's not a surprise really, because it hasn't got any of the Uli stuff on it. But what it has got is ripping guitar from Uli Jon Roth, so he very much announces his arrival on this track, with loads of whammies, loads of Hendrixy pentatonics, and then there's a breakdown after the main solo where he does this crazy sort of octave. He's got like a octave divider or some kind of fuzz box, but it's really cool. It's a track they've kept playing live sporadically. It's always been a staple. Van Halen used to cover this in their live sets when they're doing covers. I've always had a suspicion that maybe that's where Eddie got the madness of his whammies from, is from Uli Jon Roth, because if he's checked out this track and he's heard the Scorpion stuff, because he claimed never to be interested in Hendrix, and I've always, where do those whammies come from? Is it Blackmore, is it Roth? Maybe both. They did Deep Purple covers probably as well. So that's that track. The next track's a Rudy and Klaus composition as well. This opens with a kind of flamenco style piece. Assume it's Uli. Then it goes into a Phrygian style riff, and the vocal melody line uses something called the Phrygian dominant mode over the top, so it's got a Middle Eastern sound, and this must be one of the first hard rock songs to do that, but it's not very heavy. Now the vocals sound strange on this, on the verses, and then you're hearing Klaus wailing in the background. That's because I think it's Rudy singing, so that's the other interesting thing there. There's 3 different vocalists on this. Rudy's voice, you may have heard him before on a track called Hey You, which is like a B-side from the Animal Magnetism era, I think. But I do think it's him singing on this. It's quite a cool track. I'm just going to refer to my notes. I made a few notes before because I don't want to deprive you of any thoughts. But there isn't anything there. But yeah, it's quite a warbly sort of effect, Rudy's singing. Then you got Drifting Sun. This is an Uli composition. He sings it. People criticise Uli's vocals. I was trying to work out what the problem is with his vocals. Aside from him not being able to sing in tune really very well. Well, I think really he's copied the Hendrix thing, whereas Hendrix would sing melodies, but he's got that kind of spoken quality of his voice. So when Hendrix kind of goes off key, because he's got a deep mellifluous voice, that bluesy voice, it gives it a bluesy quality, so it always works. Obviously Uli's really influenced by Hendrix, but when he tries to do that style, because he's from Germany, because his voice, his natural speaking voice, the DNA of him from where he's from and stuff, it just means that when he does that, it's not going to come across the same way. But I don't kind of mind it when Uli sings in a strange way. It makes it unique. But this is a cool track. This is the one they used to do live. I think it's on Tokyo Tapes. Don't quote us on that. Maybe there's a medley. He does some crazy kind of feedback on this. It's got some epic soloing on this, so it's a pretty cool track. And then the original side one finished with Fly People Fly, and that interesting Michael Schenker gets a credit on this, so this must have been written before Michael left the band. It's interesting, it's in 3/4 time, a waltz time. Now this is a time signature that Schenker uses sporadically. He actually used it on the Immortal album recently on a track that Joan and Turner sung on, or was it a ballad that Michael Voss sung on? So it's got a quite a cool feel. Klaus does a really good vocal, nice harmonies. Again, it's a ballad, but it's elements of it telegraphing where Scorpions might go. It's kind of got a Fly People Fly. It's got like a positive lyric, even though it's a bit space rock. Klaus is, getting a motive and he's doing the harmonies. Lovely lead guitar by Uli on this, and like a really nice weird breakdown at the end. Uli does some weird delay. So the side 2 of the original Violent with This Is My Song, you'll find video footage of this from 73, I think 74 TV. This is Schenker and Main writing this. Again, this is sort of a bit folksy. The lyrics, I actually quite like it. There's not really a lot. I haven't got a lot of notes there, but I do quite like the track. And he got Far Away. Again, this is another Michael Schenker, Rudy Schenker, Klaus Meine co-writes. So 5:38. Yeah, this is quite catchy. I do quite like this. I've got a little note here. Yeah, it's got a cool intro and a cool outro. Yeah, it's kind of you can actually hear the keyboards on this. There's a guy called Akim Kirsching uses organ melody and synthesizers. So that's something with the album. They're kind of bringing in those spacey rock, krautrock things still. So it's still got that kind of hangover a bit from Lonesome Chrome, what's been happening in the music of Germany. Another note actually is Mack engineers this, and Mack became Reinhold Mack. He went on to engineer and produce Queen. Final track is Fly at the Rainbow. Now this is an epic track. Michael Schenker and Uli Roth wrote this. Again, Michael Schenker must have left over some music and Uli Roth's kind of added his bits. This has got a great middle section. I think Rudy does some weird kind of spoken stuff in this. Yeah, it's got some good kind of, it's cool Hendrixy sort of guitar in the middle. You can hear the keyboards. I've got notes here, space rock, Hendrixy middle. Yeah. And then it goes into epic octave melody. That's something that Uli's taken from Hendrix. Hendrix got it from Wes Montgomery, use of octaves. But Uli tends to put like gnarly distortion on. He uses his whammy. So I really like this track. So the album's bookended by 2 top tracks, and they're great on the Tokyo Tapes album. So what do I think of this album? It's interesting. It kind of, if you look at the culture of Germany at the time, there's lots of things coming out of Germany. The generation has been born after the war have kind of come of age and they're producing stuff. So you get like what's called the New German Cinema, which is film directors like Werner Herzog and Rainer Werner Fassbinder, and they're making films, Rainer Fassbinder in particular, looking at different aspects of German society. 1974 there's a film called Fear Eats the Soul, well worth checking out. And then you've got the krautrock as well, bands like Tangerine Dream. And the Scorpions, these bands, they don't know, they've lived after the war, they want a different life, and that optimism or wanting to say something different or say their own thing about the culture. So strangely enough, the Scorpions, as the only at that time exponent of hard rock coming out of Germany, are real ambassadors. This album's a long way from them finding their sound, but I do think it's a good record. I think it's a great record, but I don't really dislike any of them. Speedy's Come and Fly at the Rainbow, great. They Need a Million's decent. Drifting Sun's very good. Fly People Fly's catchy. This is a song Far Away. What would I mark out of 10? 30, 40, 50. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I do enjoy it. It just obviously doesn't have any of the quality of In Trance, which is a great hard rock record, and Virgin Killer, Taken by Force. Those are really important albums in not just the history of Scorpions, but the development of hard rock and heavy metal. And then, Love Drive, Blackout, Animal Magnetism as well, and Tokyo Tapes. I should just say, obviously the Tokyo Tapes versions of these pieces, obviously give them a kick up the arse, a lift, and bring out the quality of them. So yeah, this didn't do a massive amount for the Scorpions, but it kept them going. It kept them on tour, and the rest is history. So thanks for checking out the review. I'll see you again soon. Remember, share and subscribe. Thanks so much. Bye now.